Alright guys, we are here with Ferrets. Hello Ferrets, how are you?
Not happy.
Ah. Ferrets is not happy, everybody.
They still didn't fix the ion.
He's got some issues, someone give him some tissues. Alright, so
Issues.
let's jump into it. So, roadmap roundup. We have a roadmap that has been obviously gone through and was put in today. And there are a few changes. So, okay. So, as we'd like to give an update on the state of Alpha 3.16 and what you can expect from it when it hit the live servers before the holiday break next week. They do say they're breaking next week. Called the 23rd?
Maybe.
Well, that would be next week, right? If they were going to go on break, that would be this week. So they've got a week. Alright, release at the beginning. What will release at the beginning of the new year? Star Citizen Alpha 3.15 took longer to get out the door than we initially planned, which has limited the amount of time that we have to stabilize the 3.16 codebase. For this reason, we've opted to branch from 3.15 development stream to avoid risking overall stability, which has been the best in years. Taking this approach means that we're operating on the same code base that is currently on the live servers while manually integrating 3.16 features, especially those we deem low risk to integral. What does that mean?
Integrity?
Integrity, yeah. Okay, so what does that mean? Basically, it means that they've gone through and they don't want to risk redoing the code base or making huge changes to the code base while they're coming up to holiday, because they have a week. They have a week left before everything has to be out the door. So what they've done is, instead of incorporating things that are going to radically change the code base, they're going through and they're adding the things that can easily be added without modification to the code base. This is things like, for example, Jump Town. This is things like, for example, hospitals and stuff like that. It's just physical assets that are already there. Nothing needs to be added to gameplay. That's what they're doing. And look, is it the ideal situation? No. They are supposed to be doing staggered development. So maybe the coders aren't doing staggered development. Maybe it's just the guys doing props and stuff. I don't know. But at the end of the day, yeah, it seems like that they had a big problem with 3.15 getting the codebase stable, and they don't want to incorporate any massive overhauls to it before this side of Christmas, because it could totally screw the codebase. Now, there are ways around that. They could have left 3.16 in PTU and left 3.15 on live servers. People have floated this idea in the past. So at the end of the day, there are options, but this is obviously what they're choosing to do. So it was important for us to try and limit content moving back a full quarter to Alpha 3.17. We are eager for all of you to have refreshing and eager content to play over the holiday break and into the new year. For this reason, in addition to next week's release, so 23rd, Fez, come on, Fez, say I was
What?
right. Say I was right, Fez. Come on.
No, I'm not saying anything.
All right, Fez is going to spot. We also plan to release a content patch 3.16.1 when we return from holiday break. This patch will include some of the content that we're unable to integrate before the holidays. So, basically what it means is, at the end of the day, the massive things that are going to change the code base, things that are going to possibly cause errors and 30Ks and everything like that, they're basically going to leave those until a 0.1 patch. Like I said, they could have easily put 3.16 on the PTU, and if it was too buggy, they could have just left it there and left people play with 3.15. But then you wouldn't have had Jump Town or anything like that. So Yeah, like I say, it's damned if they do, damned if they don't, right? So, release view. As mentioned in both the roadmap caveats and letter from the chairman that accompanied our new roadmap back in 2020, features that are marked as committed for the release window are done with at least 90% certainty, and the feature won't move. Only in extreme rare cases will something shift. Since that announcement, we have successfully marked 66 feature cards on the roadmap as committed, with today's roadmap roundup reducing one card, mining gadgets, which will need to be reverted. So out of 66, there's one that they've missed. That's pretty freaking good odds, people. The features below have successfully been integrated into the 3.16 patch, targeting for next week release to the live servers, i.e. the 23rd of December. These also come alongside improvements to the lore system, atmospheric bounties, and other gameplay improvements, which you can read about here. So they've got Area 18 Hospital, Dying Star map, Dying Star updated map, Grav rework, and Jumptown 2.0, plus the lore system and atmospheric bounties. So look, it is a light patch. We'll get to that in a sec. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. The following features are now slated for 3.16.1. So that is derelict ships, points of interest, and laser trip mines. The following features have been relocated to 3.17 as they continue to be integrated into that branch: DNA head tracking textures and mining gadgets. Now, DNA head tracking was not committed as of yet. It was still listed as to be confirmed, and mining gadgets is the one they've had to revert. So, progress tracker. Following deliverables have been added to the progress tracker. So, there's some good news. Lockable containers. Lockable containers will add the ability for designers to lock entities within the physical or electronic locks, which would open with a key or force open via cutting, destroying, or hacking the lock. This deliverable has been added to the EU PTU gameplay for future schedule. Now, we saw this at CitizenCon demo, and this is what I was saying to people. Everybody was complaining about CitizenCon being a bit light this year. My argument was it's not light, it's stuff that you're going to be getting in the next 12 months. Where it's no sandworm, as Chris said, right? It's stuff that is actually going to be able for you to go through and actually use within the next 12 months. So we don't actually, let me go through. So that was lockable containers, right? What is the progress tracker on that? So lockable containers have been added and are scheduled to finish at Q3 2022. So there. Also, FPS Devices Tier 1. While throwable and consumable devices already exist within Star Citizen, i.e. grenades and medipens, further work on this system will enable us to move easily to create new items with different effects when used. This includes the deployment of deployable devices and items that can be carried around as a part of a player's loadout, equipment, and deployed onto a surface. This deliverable has been added to the weapon feature team. So, this was added. Now, we didn't see this at SitCon, but we have heard about this before. And this is scheduled to be Q3 2022 too, probably. Alright, so the vehicle tech team has moved from being upstream team to downstream team. As a reminder, this means the team is more reactive role than plans only on 1 quarter ahead, rather than 4. The team is keeping their current schedule through Q1, but some of the longer term deliverables are coming off the progress tracker until we approach the time frame next year. For this reason, the following deliverables have been temporarily removed. So, multi-grid FDS, capital ship destruction. Now, that's a pity. And cockpit button animations. It's great for immersion, not really going to provide any major gameplay though. Alright, so the roadmap itself, if we go to the release view, we can minimize 315, we can expand 316. So we've got hospitals, derelict ships, which obviously is coming in point 1, Dying Star remap, Grav Lift, Jump Town, and Laser Trip Mines, which is also coming in point 1. In 317, we have the character DNA head tracker texture, Lawville Pure of Heart. We have the Hangar Manager app, the Persistent Hangar, the mining gadgets, the ship-to-ship refueling, selling items to shops, NPC taxi missions, player interaction experiences, the Scorpio, the Hull A, and a partridge in a pear tree. I'm expecting things to drop off 317, guys. If you expect CIG to get all that done, buy yourself a lotto ticket. It's not going to happen. Things are going to change, and there is normally that big meeting they have at the start of every year where they basically, it's about week 3 or 4 of January, where they go through and they reassess their timeline for the year. So I would expect some of that stuff to change. And
yeah, so well, basically, if you are like hoping for the persistent, like hangers, I forget about it.
well, actually, no. I think the persistent hangers is going to happen.
I mean, with a CIG's track record,
No,
No,
the reason why I reckon it's going to happen is this, right? I reckon it's going to happen because they're pushing for persistence. They need
yeah,
it for persistence.
but the thing is, though, they won't have enough time to get that working properly.
317.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they will. They'll give them 3 months.
Mm,
It's not a hard deadline. They can go an extra week or 2 weeks or whatever into
Right.
like January, February, March into April.
right, and when they do that, that's going to push 3.18 behind.
Well, 318 is, it depends on what they're working on. Things like persistent hangers and stuff like that. See, it depends, right? It's all different teams. If it's just them going through and developing the team or developing the hangers, then they can push it back a week and it won't affect 318 so much. However, if it's them putting the hangers into the game and then they cause massive problems with the code base, which is, it's possible, then, and that gets delayed, then that will affect 318 because it seems like the coders are very few and far between. It seems that when they talk about the coders, they're not doing staggered development. It's only the engineers that are doing it. But like I said,
Well,
I think they're going to push for persistent hangers in 317. I would say you're probably going to get your DNA head tracking, your Lawville, your Hanger Manager app, and your persistent hangers, and maybe your mining gadgets. I think ship-to-ship refueling will get pushed back to 318 or 319. As well as, I think, shops selling items to shops, which is going to be a pain in the ass because I really want that. NPC taxi missions, I'm going to guess that's going to get pushed back as well. Player interactive experiences, I imagine that will get pushed back. The ships will stay because that's a different team. But yeah, that's what I think they're going to do, is they're going to keep persistent hangers, presuming item cache is working and ready. If item cache isn't working, then they'll knock back the hangers to a patch or 2, and they'll keep selling to shop items. So it depends on how item cache goes. But everything I'm hearing from my guy is that they're pushing for persistence. They want item cache up and running by quarter 2 of next year, and they want server meshing running by the end of quarter 4. And if they need that done, if they want that done, they need persistent hangers, because that is item cache. That needs to be done by quarter 2 of next year. So we'll see, but yeah. All right, Fez. All right. Let me just crack open the salt mine. Hang on. Yeah. Right, there we go. Yep, we got some salt. All right. Fizz, what are your thoughts on the roadmap?
Does it matter what I think?
Yeah, of course it does, but that's why you're here.
I mean, it's the first time that a CIG has ever delayed a card that was labeled as a committed.
True. It's 1 out of 66. It's not bad odds.
No, it's just they. It's so basically they're telling us that the reason that they had to do that is because they don't have enough for time, right?
So okay, so what happens is I'll okay, so it's actually good you brought this up because a lot of people don't understand this. You have 4 or 5 teams, right? One team goes through and their job is just to build the white box and the assets and everything like that. Like for example, we'll use hospitals, right? So you have your team go through and they build all the white boxing, they do the grey boxing, they put in all the assets and stuff, like all the doors and stuff like that, right? Then they turn around and they'll say to prop department, hey, prop department, we need a whole bunch of props. So the prop department will go through and make those assets as well. And then the first team goes through and says to prop department, thank you for those assets, and then they scatter them through that white box, grey box final phase, right? Once that's all done, then they turn around and they export that to the game. They import it. And then you have coders who come along and they turn around and say, okay, this has been added to the game. Now we have to change the code to allow people to be able to access that. They need to be able to access the terminals. They need to be able to, operate the doors and stuff like that. All that stuff needs to be coded in. What I think is happening is that CIG have plenty of people for the props department. They have plenty of people for the design department, but they don't have a lot of people when it comes to coders. What happened with 315 was because 315 was delayed and because it was a coding thing that stopped it from being pushed out. 316 is light because the same coders that were working on 315, 314, 313, 312, whatever it may be, they're also being flat out to get the code ready for 316. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah, like if you're building a house, right? You get the engine, you get the electrician to come in, you get the plumbers to come in, you get the plasterers to come in. It's a whole bunch of teams that work together to make this one great big house. Well, at the moment, the coders, quotes, they're the guys that go through at the end and that finish everything off, that wire it all on, that put in all the door locks and everything like that, maybe, right? For an analogy. Well, they were busy working on the door locks from the back door, right? And the back door delayed them because they had problems with the back door, right? So now the front door is light because at the end of the day, they got delayed with the back door. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. And that's people what I think is happening is the fact that does CIG need to employ more coding? Yeah, it'd be great. That's probably why they have close to over 100 jobs available on their website. I know, imagine some of those are coders if I went and checked. So apart from that, is there what else? What else you thoughts you got?
With the latest patch, we have not seen any changes to the current nerfed Ion. So
we haven't got to the patch yet, though. We're doing that next.
Okay. Well, you heard it here, folks. Yep.
He's still salty about his Ion people.
Guess you could. I guess you could call me Salty Mike now.
Well, yeah. I don't think you're that salty. Like Salty Mike, let's face it, he's like the great flats of salt. You're like, like a tablespoon of salt at the moment. But, you know, we all have these moments. Hey, I just got killed 3 times by the NPCs. So, yeah.
And you're raging.
I wasn't raging, I was having a joke. I was screaming for Fez to come and help me. He didn't, by the way. He left me there to die. But anyway. Alright.
Was I supposed to help you?
Well, yeah, I was like literally saying, help Fez, they're shooting me. Anyway, guys, obviously another video coming up right after this. We will be talking about the patch notes. We will be talking about the underground bunker facility mission and whether it's fixed. And we'll also be talking about the ion not being nerfed, apparently. Or not being fixed from being nerfed. And we're also just going through the general patch notes as well. Apart from that, guys, as for the roadmap, look, is it a shame things have been removed? Yes. Shit happens. You know, like I say, at the end of the day, yeah, it's not ideal, but hey, you know, it's game development, right? So I'm really not going to get that upset over it. I'm sure there are other YouTubers that are going to mine the salt fields over it, but hey, it is what it is. And look, it sucks, sure, but at the end of the day, you know, we got 3.17 to look forward to. And look, there's some really good features with 3.16. Jumptown is definitely going to be interesting. Pack your weapons and your ballistas and your turrets and your whatnots. And your ions, right, Fez? Pack your ions.
You could leave those at the hangar. They're no good right now, so.
But yeah, so 3.16 has some decent things. So guys, obviously let's not dwell on the fact that a few things have missed. Yes, 3.16 is obviously light, but you know, shit happens, I suppose. Let us know what your thoughts are in that comment section below. Obviously, guys, if this video has been helpful, please smack that like button. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Obviously, there'll be another video coming up right after this, so stay tuned, guys. Apart from that, have a great night and enjoy.